Hello. Today we'll be talking about quadrilaterals. Here are the local and national standards for two-dimensional figures. Here are the big ideas for this lesson. The most important thing here is that you should understand that two-dimensional figures can fit into more than one category at times. And at the end of this lesson, you should be able to more precisely categorize two-dimensional figures. Here are some vocabulary to have in mind. Symmetry means a straight line that divides a plane figure into mirror images. So for example, if this is your face, you have one eye over here, one eye over here, and you have your nostril, right? And your mouth. If you were to draw a straight line down your face, you can see that this side is a mirror image of that side. This line here is the line of symmetry. Congruent angles means angles that are equal, and congruent side means sides that are the same length. A right angle is an angle that measures 90 degrees. So from here to here measures 90 degrees. This is usually indicated by a little square in the center here. And parallel sides means sides that are running in the same direction but will never meet. So this side here is parallel to that side right here. They are running in the same direction and they will never meet. And a polygon is a closed figure that is made up of line segments that do not cross. So for example, here is a shape that's supposed to be a rectangle. So it's made up of line segments, and those line segments do not cross each other. Here are the essential questions. What are the properties of quadrilaterals? What is a quadrilateral? How can you classify different types of quadrilaterals? How are quadrilaterals alike and different? Why are some quadrilaterals classified as parallelograms? Why are kites not classified as parallelograms? And why is a square always a rectangle? So what are quadrilaterals? Quadrilaterals are plane figures that have 4 sides and 4 angles. So in general, a quadrilateral like this has incongruent sides. That means none of the sides are of the same length. So we can check these off. Incongruent sides. The angles do not measure the same. There are no right angles, no parallel sides, no lines of symmetry anywhere, and all the angles total 360 degrees. This is a parallelogram. A parallelogram is a quadrilateral that has 4 sides, 4 angles, congruent opposite sides. That means this side is congruent to this side, and this side here is congruent to this side. They have congruent opposite angles. That means this angle here is congruent to this angle, and this angle here is congruent to this angle. There are no right angles. Only the parallel sides are opposite each other, of course, that goes without saying, and there are 0 lines of symmetry. Let's look at the rectangle. The rectangle has 4 sides, 4 right angles, One here, one here, one here, one here. The opposite sides are congruent to each other. This side is congruent to this side, and this side here is congruent to this side. And of course, the opposite sides you can see here are parallel to each other. You have congruent angles, as I said before. You have parallel opposite sides, and there are two lines of symmetry. So here is one line of symmetry along the center here, and one line of symmetry along this line right here. So there are two lines of symmetry for rectangles. Let's look at the square. The square has four sides, four right angles, one here, one here, one here, all measuring 90 degrees. Congruent opposite sides. This side is congruent to this side is congruent to this side. All the sides are congruent to each other. Of course, the opposite sides are parallel. This side is parallel to this side, and this side is parallel to this side. And there are four lines of symmetry for a square. This is one line of symmetry right here. One line of symmetry right here. One line of symmetry right here. And one line of symmetry right here. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4 lines of symmetry. That's the square. The rhombus. The rhombus has four sides, four angles. There are no right angles. There are congruent opposite sides. So this side is congruent to this side, and this side here is congruent to this side. The opposite sides are parallel to each other. This side is parallel to this side, and this side is parallel to this side right here. And there are two lines of symmetry here for a rhombus. This side, this line, this is a symmetry along this line, and a symmetry along this line. Two lines of symmetry. That is the rhombus. A trapezoid has four sides, no right angles, zero congruent sides except for an isosceles trapezoid, in which the opposite sides, these two sides here, will be congruent to each other. And there are zero congruent angles in a trapezoid except for an isosceles trapezoid, in which the angles here will be congruent, and this angle here congruent to this angle. There are one pair of opposite parallel sides, in the sense that this side is opposite and parallel to this side. And there is only one line of symmetry in an isosceles trapezoid. The other trapezoids do not have a line of symmetry. So in an isosceles trapezoid, the line of symmetry would run along here. That is the trapezoid. A kite has four sides, zero right angles, one pair of opposite congruent angles. This angle right here is congruent and opposite to that angle. We have congruent opposite sides, or I guess you would call them adjacent sides. This side is congruent to this side, and this side here is congruent to that side. And there is one line of symmetry for a kite. down the center right here. One line of symmetry. Now we can put this all together for quadrilaterals. In general, we have the quadrilaterals here. So imagine you have a heap of four-sided figures. You could break them off first into a regular quadrilateral here. Have a kite. This only has, there are 0 parallel sides. Then you have a trapezoid with 1 pair of parallel sides. A parallelogram with 2 pair of parallel sides. Then you have a rhombus. You can see that a rhombus is a parallelogram because there are 2 pairs of opposite sides. And it's also a rectangle because a rectangle also has 2 pair of parallel sides. And a square is both a rectangle and a rhombus because a square has opposite sides that are of the same length, or 2 pairs of congruent sides, all the sides measuring the same. And it's also a rectangle because a rectangle has all angles measuring 90 degrees, or 4 congruent angles. That is the end. You can learn more by visiting my website at icoteach.com. Thank you.